I'm out on the trek today and it's cold, too cold to ride a bike, but I'm out anyway because I'm obsessed, and I still haven't decided on this indoor riding malarkey. It's quite interesting because race bikes was such a thing, such a part of my life, and then I stopped riding altogether, and yet now I'm obsessed. And people often ask me, well, why did you stop riding altogether? You regret all those years you didn't ride, so why did you stop? And the answer to that is simple, and I think you'll find that it happens to a lot of sports people. Is when I raced, cycling controlled literally every aspect of my life. Controlled your routine, when you get up, when you go training, when you rest. It controlled your diet. Every single thing you ate had to be considered. It controlled your social life, because you just couldn't go out and have a party and drink and smoke and do all of the other things that people of my generation were doing. It literally took over your life. And I loved it, don't get me wrong. I loved the racing. I loved the glory, I suppose. I know that sounds big-headed, but I did, you know. When I was winning races, and particularly as a track cyclist, you know, at the end of a race you'd go up the banking to slow down, and people would lean over and tap you on the shoulder, and it was great. But when that all ends, and you wake up in the morning and you think, I don't have to go training today. Or if somebody invites you round for a couple of beers and you go, yeah, okay. And then you don't ride. And really happened so quickly, before you know it, 10 years are gone. And by then I'd discovered motorbikes, and it was a new obsession, and one thing and another. So to say I fell out of love with the sport, well, it's probably not really true. I think it just faded into the background, really. And I think, you know, having rediscovered cycling, I think this is why I've become obsessed with it, because the pressure is off and I don't have to get up at a specific time. I don't have to meet the group for a training ride. And today I've gone out an hour later than I normally do because it's cold, and I decided to have a bit of a lie-in, another cup of coffee, read the paper. And I've also decided that I'm only going to do 10 miles today. I normally like to do between 20 and 25, but it doesn't matter. And that really helps you to enjoy cycling more. Last time I came down this road, I had quite a tailwind. I did my fastest time ever. And today, I've got a headwind. So it'll probably be my slowest time ever. But it doesn't matter, because I'm only competing against myself. And the nice thing about competing against yourself is you make the rules. When you're telling yourself, oh yeah, I was slow because of the headwind, it's only you've got to convince. You don't have to convince your team manager or your teammates or anybody else. Just you. I won't lie, it is something I still struggle with. Is not pushing all the time. And before I go out when conditions are bad, my wife always says to me, just happy wheel. For those of you that don't know, I've spoken about it before. When I was racing in South Africa, leisure cycling wasn't a thing. People either raced bikes or they rode bikes to get from A to B. But there was one club in Johannesburg of leisure cyclists, and they were called the Happy Wheelers. And they rode their bikes just for fun. They stopped and had tea and cake. They had mudguards on their bikes. I should just point out, nobody in Johannesburg needs mudguards on their bike. They just met up on a Sunday morning and went for a leisurely ride just for the enjoyment of being on their bikes. So whenever I talk about just riding, without pushing, without chasing times, without trying to go faster, I always refer to that as happy wheeling. And my wife feels the need to point it out, that I should be happy wheeling. And there's a good reason for that. She knows, despite the fact that I'm not racing anymore and I'm an old bloke and all of those things, those competitive genes are still there. And I will push for a higher average time. And I'll push to beat my time on every Strava segment. It's in the blood, I suppose. There are a lot of very good reasons that you should be happy wheeling in the cold weather. Most importantly, there's the safety aspect. When you're out in the cold, even if the temperature is above zero, you'll find icy patches on the road. I did yesterday. It's windy like it is today, then you've got an additional problem. And sometimes you get a gust of wind, catches you off guard, and blows you across the road. Another reason for happy wheeling in the cold is you don't use up too much energy, because your body is taking quite a lot of the energy you've got just to keep you warm. And then on top of that, because it's cold, you don't feel thirsty. So you don't drink enough. And when you do drink, your drink is so cold, it gives you an ice cream headache. So you don't drink as much as you should. And when your hands are cold, you don't have such a good feeling on the bike. You're a little bit stiffer, a little bit less agile. And if you haven't beaten every Strava segment, it means that you've got something to ride for when the weather's warmer. But really, just being out, instead of being head down and arse up, you can look around, start enjoying some of the scenery you normally miss. Really the main advantage of happy wheeling is it takes the pressure off. It makes it easier to go out. Because I've got to be honest, today I looked out and you can see it's cold outside. And you look out and you think, oh, do I really want to go out there today? And if you put pressure on yourself, and say, yeah, but I've got to do 25 miles and I've got to maintain a pace, I think, nah, I won't bother. But when you think, well, yeah, just go out for a short ride. When I'm cold, I'll go home. The faster you pedal, the more you warm your body up. The faster you go, the colder it feels because of the wind chill. Now, I don't know, I'm probably preaching to the converted here. But one tip I will give you, and as I said, this was coming from somebody who grew up in South Africa, so probably all know this already, but don't assume because it's not frosty there won't be ice on the road. But still, what I am trying to say is, just because it's cold, don't stay at home. It's unbelievably difficult to motivate yourself to get out the door. And when you do, I find it's actually quite pleasant being out on the bike, obviously dressed appropriately, and given that you can ride somewhere where it's safe.